Following a disastrous debate, President Biden's primetime interview with USA Daily News was an attempt at not only damage control but also controlling the narrative. In Biden's view, the debate was just a bad night, the polls are incorrect, the election forecasts are off, and the Democrats calling for his withdrawal are non-existent. For him, the crisis perceived by many in his party is just another hurdle to overcome, as he has always done. He doesn't acknowledge slipping with age, losing to Trump, or facing pressure from his own party to step down. This interview was a display of his resilience, but it also highlighted his growing isolation within his party. Julian Castro, a former housing secretary and 2020 Democratic nominee, described President Biden as being in denial and isolated, expressing doubts about Biden's ability to accurately assess his viability in the race. David Axelrod, a former senior advisor to President Obama, acknowledged Biden's pride in his record but criticized him for being out of touch with concerns about his future capabilities and standing in the race. Biden's interview with George Stephanopoulos, while not as disastrous as his debate with Trump, did not provide sufficient reassurance to those who have turned against him or are considering doing so. With time running out, there is growing pressure within the party to consider changing nominees. During the interview, President Biden appeared healthier with a ruddier complexion, calm and composed. However, he still sounded hoarse and hesitant, occasionally struggling to complete sentences. He downplayed health concerns, denied being more frail, and avoided discussing medical tests. Biden accepted responsibility for his debate performance but attributed it to exhaustion, illness, and Trump's shouting. He claimed to take a cognitive test daily due to the demands of his job and stated he would only withdraw from the race if God himself told him to. One of Biden's responses, in particular, irritated fellow Democrats. When asked how he would feel if he lost to Trump and had to hand back the White House, Biden replied that he would be satisfied as long as he gave it his all and did the best job he could. Several Democrats expressed frustration with Biden's response, emphasizing that the election is not about personal satisfaction, but about preventing a convicted felon who attempted to overturn an election and vowed retribution from returning to power. One House Democrat, wishing to remain anonymous, even joked about hoping God would speak to Biden soon. Presidents often live in a self-created bubble, isolated from the outside world by the White House and surrounded by aides and Secret Service, constantly reassured of their significance. Biden chose to run for re-election, despite being 86 by the end of a potential second term, because he believes he is uniquely qualified to defeat Trump. After the USA Daily News interview, a dozen Democratic lawmakers and strategists expressed serious doubts about Biden's ability to defeat Trump. However, it's unclear whether they've communicated this directly to Biden. Friends of presidents often avoid delivering bad news directly, opting to use the media or aides who may not fully convey the message. If the message hasn't been received privately, it may become more public. One Democrat working for the party predicted more elected officials would call for Biden to step down. Another ally described the interview as necessary but not enough, suggesting it only delayed the inevitable. Both spoke anonymously due to the sensitivity of the situation. Paul Begala, a leading Democratic strategist, stated that the interview was necessary but not sufficient to quell the growing anger and resentment among Democrats. He suggested that only a dramatic change in Biden's performance could undo the damage from the debate. For many Democrats who support the president, the interview was difficult to watch. George Stephanopoulos was respectful and professional but persistently asked Biden tough questions about his mental acuity and future capabilities, questions no octogenarian would want to face. At one point, Stephanopoulos offered Biden a dignified way to step down, but Biden refused. Stephanopoulos conveyed the sentiment of many Democrats: they love Biden, are grateful for his 2020 victory over Trump, and believe he's done a good job as president, but they're worried about him and the country, doubting he can win re-election. They want him to exit gracefully, and they'll support him if he does. Biden responded by claiming that the majority of Democrats don't share these concerns, despite polls indicating that about half of Democrats think he should withdraw. He then compared the current situation to the doubts about his candidacy in 2020, suggesting that he overcame skepticism then and can do so again. George Stephanopoulos noted that he's never seen a president with a 36% approval rating get re-elected, to which Biden responded that he doesn't believe his approval rating is that low, contradicting public polls. The White House recognized that one interview couldn't fix the post-debate crisis but hoped it would stabilize the situation and gradually rebuild confidence, alongside rallies and an upcoming news conference at the NATO summit. Biden has been written off many times in his long career, but he has an unwavering belief in his ability to bounce back from any challenge. He sees himself as a long-term player, unshaken by the chaos around him. Despite acknowledging the difficulties, he's remained surprisingly composed in recent conversations with friends. As Biden heads into the weekend, fellow Democrats are contemplating their next moves. Some lawmakers and major donors are pushing for the president to reconsider his candidacy or strategy. The interview on Friday doesn't seem to have quelled these efforts. "I can't imagine it will do much, if anything, to calm the nerves of Democrats on Capitol Hill," said Jim Manley, a former top aide to Senate Democrats. "We are in for a rough couple of days." As we navigate through these turbulent political times, we invite you to share your thoughts on President Biden's interview and the current state of his presidency. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis and discussions on the latest political developments. Your insights are valuable to us, and together we can explore the implications of these events on the upcoming elections and the future of the country.